You pick up a slim pastel can. It fizzes like soda, tastes like soda, sits next to Coke and Pepsi on the shelf. But the label says something sodas never said: prebiotic. Hundreds of millions of cans a year, selling one promise: it's good for your gut. But here's something that might surprise you. Pepsi paid $1.95 billion to buy this brand. 9 months later, Pepsi launched its own prebiotic cola. The gap between the front of that can and the back led to an $8.9 million lawsuit. This is how soda became a supplement, and why nearly $2 billion didn't buy a formula. It bought permission to speak the language of wellness. Allison Ellsworth had stomach pain. Not serious, but bad enough to spend her evenings Googling remedies. She landed on apple cider vinegar. It worked, but drinking it straight made her wince. So she started mixing in her kitchen: juice, sparkling water, vinegar, trying to find a drinkable ratio. 9 months pregnant, she took her homemade soda to a Dallas farmer's market, Mother Beverage. 3rd week, a Whole Foods buyer tasted it and signed her on the spot. No factory, no packaging, just a recipe and a folding table. 2 years later, she pitched on Shark Tank, 9 months pregnant with her 2nd child. Rohan Oza put in $400,000 for 25%. He bought the brand, not the product, and said the name needed an overhaul. 10 days after filming, Allison gave birth. Now here's the kicker: Mother Beverage became Poppi. Glass bottles turned into slim pastel cans. Launch day, March 3rd, 2020. Lockdowns hit. Marketing went dark. Allison pivoted to TikTok. 1 billion views. #1 on Amazon for soda. 100 million in revenue by 2023. Super Bowl ad. Then Pepsi paid nearly $2 billion. Kitchen to global brand, 10 years. But one number sat on the back of every can that nobody noticed: 2 grams of prebiotic fiber. And that number was about to become the center of a fight over what prebiotic soda is allowed to promise. Here's the thing nobody tells you. You can't just pour fiber into a can of soda. Drop psyllium husk into a glass of Sprite. It doesn't dissolve. It swells into a thick, gloopy gel you couldn't drink if you tried. That's why prebiotic soda starts with a different fiber entirely: inulin, mostly from chicory root, grown in Belgium and the Netherlands. It has to dissolve completely in an acidic, carbonated liquid. No gel, no clumps, no visible trace. If it can't vanish, it doesn't go in the can. The fiber dissolves in warm water, 60 to 80 degrees Celsius, forming a slurry, still cloudy. Fiber hasn't fully broken down. Sediment in the finished can means rejection. Before carbonation, oxygen has to go. Degassing strips it below 0.1 parts per million. Leave it, and shelf life drops from 12 months to weeks. But here's the thing: fiber slurry meets acid, citric acid, apple cider vinegar in Poppi's case, plus sweetener, juice, natural flavors. The real fight is pH. Target 3.0 to 3.8. Soda needs acid for that crisp snap when it hits your tongue. But push pH too low and it breaks the fiber down. Cloudiness, texture collapse. Push it too high and the soda goes flat. The window is barely a decimal point wide. Fiber also weakens carbonation. If you've ever cracked a Poppi and the fizz felt softer than a Coke, that wasn't a flat can. That was the fiber. CO2 runs 2.5 to 3 volumes versus Coke's 3.7. Too little fizz. Flat soda nobody buys twice. But the same fiber that makes the can sound healthier also makes it harder to keep safe. Regular soda doesn't need pasteurization. Acid, sugar, and carbonation keep bacteria out. But fiber is food for bacteria. That's literally what prebiotic means. Skip the heat, and bacteria eat the fiber inside the sealed can. CO2 builds, can swells, can bursts. That's not theory. That's why recalls happen. Sealed cans roll through a tunnel pasteurizer. Warm water spray at 65 to 70 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. Adds 15 to 20% to cost. The most expensive step you've never heard of. Nitrogen purge. Double seam seal. Fiber content has to match the label within 10%. Drift below, that's not quality. That's legal. All of that engineering exists for one purpose: to make prebiotic fiber behave like soda, not like medicine. Poppi carries about 2 grams of prebiotic fiber per can. Olipop carries 9, 4.5 times more, from 3 different fiber sources in a blend called Olismart. Coca-Cola's Simply Pop carries 6. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola carries 3. Same shelf, same aisle, same category name, prebiotic soda. But in terms of fiber, these are nearly different products wearing the same label. May 2025, Pepsi closed the Poppi deal, $1.95 billion. 9 months later, Pepsi launched its own prebiotic cola. 3 grams of fiber, 5 grams of sugar, 30 calories. Pepsi could have built this on its own, and did. Nearly 2 billion didn't buy the formula. The formula's no secret. Poppi had already taught millions that soda could be good for your gut. Pepsi bought that permission, the right to sit at the wellness table that Poppi had already set. Here's where the story flips. The name prebiotic soda isn't a scientific definition. There's no minimum fiber threshold to earn that label. 2 grams qualifies. 9 grams qualifies. The shelf puts them side by side. They're not the same thing. The class action against Poppi didn't call the product poison. Plaintiffs argued at 2 grams per can, you'd need more than 4 a day for any meaningful gut benefit. And at that intake, the sugar starts telling its own story. Most prebiotic research uses 3 grams per day or more. Poppi settled for 8.9 million and denied wrongdoing. On the same shelf, Olipop sits with 9 grams and its own clinical data. Same name, same shelf, 2 different products. The confusion doesn't start at the factory. It starts at the label. So let's go back to that pastel can. You crack it open, hear the soft fizz, see prebiotic across the front. You know the fiber inside had to survive pH 3, carbonation, and 12 months on a shelf, and most fiber on the planet can't. You know the same shelf holds 2 grams next to 9 grams under the same name, and you can't tell without flipping the can. You know Pepsi could build its own prebiotic cola, and did, 9 months after spending nearly $2 billion. They didn't buy the recipe, they bought permission. Next time you pick one up, flip it. Find the fiber number. 2 grams. Low sugar soda with a touch of fiber. Better than a Coke, but not a gut health intervention. 9 grams. Different math entirely. Even 9 grams doesn't replace the diversity of fiber from real food. Vegetables, beans, whole grains. No one can replicate that. The confusion started when marketing borrowed nutrition language and printed it on a pastel can. Pepsi didn't spend nearly $2 billion to sell soda. They've done that their whole life. They spent it to join the wellness conversation. The can still sits on the shelf, pastel and slim, right next to Coke and Pepsi. But now you know what's inside, and what nearly $2 billion bought outside it. That's the process. We reveal how things actually work, one story at a time. If there's something you'd like us to explore next, let us know. Until then, trust the process.